Hey everyone, Andrew Meet Rich here, and we need to talk about what's happening across Europe and beyond because the patterns are getting impossible to ignore. Major operations, government chaos, and incidents that keep raising the same uncomfortable questions. Let's break this down. So first, Germany just pulled off something that actually worked for once, a massive coordinated international operation targeting fraud and money laundering. We're talking about German law enforcement teaming up with 8 other countries, hitting locations across Germany, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Spain, and more. The criminals they went after had stolen banking data from people in 193 countries. Think about that scale for a second. And here's the kicker. They'd illegally accessed 4 major payment services inside Germany to process their transactions. The damage? We're looking at several €100 million. At least one criminal organization has been dismantled. In a landscape where organized crime has been growing bolder and more brazen, this is one win. But it raises the question, how many more networks are still operating? I spent years inside a major media organization, watched how stories got shaped to protect certain narratives and keep uncomfortable truths buried, and I walked out. Now I'm independent. I answer to no one, and I tell you what's actually happening. And if you value that kind of honesty, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you really want to support independent journalism that doesn't bow to corporate interests, consider becoming a channel sponsor. It makes a real difference. Now let's talk about the political earthquake building in Germany. The coalition government, the one that was supposed to bring stability, is tearing itself apart just 6 months after taking power. Friedrich Merz's Christian Democratic Union and the Social Democrats are in open conflict. For the first time, members of the Chancellor's own party are talking about the government collapsing. This isn't speculation anymore. This is real. What triggered this latest crisis? Germany's Foreign Minister, Johann Wadephul, made a comparison that sent shockwaves through the ruling coalition. He said Syria looks worse than Germany did in 1945. Let that sink in. 1945, the end of World War II. Chancellor Merz was reportedly furious. Inside the CDU, there's been total chaos. Party leadership first defended the minister, then publicly distanced themselves. Meanwhile, the CDU's parliamentary leader, Jens Spahn, declared they're not going down with the Social Democrats. That's not coalition talk, that's abandonment talk. Here's what's on the table now. If the coalition committee meeting on November 13th doesn't produce agreement on reforms, which everyone is desperately waiting for, they're discussing alternatives, including forming a minority government. That's how serious this has gotten. And it's not just the CDU falling apart. Inside the Social Democratic Party, there's complete disarray. Vice-Chancellor Lars Klingbeil is facing pressure from the party's left wing, and ministers keep contradicting Chancellor Merz's positions. So we're watching both sides of this coalition unravel simultaneously. Mark November 13th on your calendar, because whatever happens then could reshape German politics entirely. Stay with me here, because this connects to what's coming next. And don't forget to drop a comment below with your thoughts on where Germany is headed. Now, while politicians talk tough on migration, a migration expert just delivered a reality check that destroys the entire narrative. Chancellor Merz has been talking about mass repatriation of Syrian refugees. The expert's conclusion? Almost all Syrians will stay in Germany forever. Even with maximum government effort, they can't return significant numbers. Here's the math. Germany has 250 working days per year. Even if charter flights removed more than 50 passengers every single day, that's only 12,000 to 13,000 people annually. That's 2 to 3% maximum of the Syrian population in Germany. According to the Interior Ministry, there are almost 900,000 Syrian citizens currently in Germany. Another 200,000 have already obtained German citizenship. So when politicians promise mass deportations, understand the logistics, make it functionally impossible. The gap between political rhetoric and operational reality couldn't be wider. Meanwhile, Germany is planning to significantly increase financial support for Ukraine. The 2026 budget already includes €8.5 billion, but the government wants to add another €3 billion on top of that. Finance Minister Lars Klingbeil and Defense Minister Boris Pistorius will bring this proposal to the Bundestag. Chancellor Merz has already endorsed providing these additional funds. So while Germany struggles with internal political chaos and can't deport refugees, finding billions more for foreign commitments apparently presents no obstacles. And speaking of inexplicable incidents, let's talk about drones. Brussels airport was shut down after unidentified drones appeared. All flights into and out of Brussels Zaventem were suspended yesterday evening. The first drone was spotted around 8 p.m. local time. Flights got redirected to other airports. 2 hours later, the airport reopened, then immediately closed again when a second drone appeared. As of today, flights have resumed, though many departures were cancelled. And here's what we always hear in these cases. No one was detained, no one knows where the drones went or who was operating them. But the financial losses are obvious. This keeps happening over and over, and somehow authorities can never catch anyone. Now we need to discuss France, and this is disturbing. A driver deliberately drove into pedestrians and cyclists. 10 people were injured, some with life-threatening trauma. The individual who carried out this violent act was arrested. During the arrest, according to officials, he shouted religious phrases. He had previous encounters with the French justice system for common law violations, including substance offenses. We'll be watching to see what develops from this, but the pattern should be raising serious questions. And here's something else from France that's almost harder to believe, except it's been officially confirmed by a French court. A 40-year-old taxi driver was exonerated after being falsely accused by Britain's current Justice Minister, David Lammy. Let me repeat that, Britain's Justice Minister. The incident happened back in April when the taxi driver transported Lammy and his wife from Italy to France, a journey of over 600 kilometers. At the end of the trip, they fought over the fare. Lammy claimed the driver left with their luggage, including cash. The driver said the minister refused to pay him €1,550 for the trip. Both filed complaints, but only Lammy's complaint was considered valid. The French taxi driver was accused of stealing cash and personal belongings. But now, the prosecutor has announced the taxi driver has been exonerated due to lack of evidence. So basically, the taxi driver was slandered to avoid paying. Britain's Justice Minister falsely accused someone of theft, and only now has the truth come out. Think about that for a moment. If you're finding this valuable, make sure you're subscribed and you've hit that like button, because this kind of reporting doesn't come from the mainstream outlets that protected these stories. Across the Atlantic, the United States has now entered day 36 of a budget crisis that has paralyzed much of the federal government. This is a record-breaking shutdown. Republicans and Democrats cannot agree on the federal budget. Experts are warning this could drag on for additional weeks. Right now, more than 670,000 government employees have been sent on unpaid leave. Another 730,000 are working without salaries. The shutdown is also hammering the economy. Federal agencies aren't issuing new contracts. Tenders are frozen. Payments are suspended. Analysts estimate that if this crisis lasts 4 to 8 weeks, the U.S. economy will lose between $7 and $14 billion. And part of those losses can't be recovered even after the government resumes operations. There's also a human cost. Around 42 million Americans in need may lose food assistance. Many museums and national parks are closed. Aviation is seeing increasing delays and flight cancellations. But here's what's really interesting happening during all this chaos. New York City, for the first time in many decades, will be led by someone calling himself a socialist. 34-year-old Zachary Mamdani won the mayoral election. He's Muslim, originally from Uganda, and this isn't fiction. His campaign platform included freezing rental rates, free public transportation, government-run supermarkets with possibly free products, and higher taxes on the wealthy. His opponents warned these measures could trigger financial crisis, and naturally, none of what was promised will be delivered. People were deceived, we can say that openly, though they apparently were happy to be deceived, much like voters in other countries. Mamdani, it should be noted, is known for his statements against Israel and support for Palestinian movements. President Trump has already reacted to the election results. He stated that Republicans lost because of the shutdown and because Trump's name wasn't on the ballot. These elections were viewed by experts as the first challenge for Trump's administration after he became president for the second time. And here's the most interesting part. Mamdani, who loudly told the masses fairy tales about being against the rich and completely for the people, has already been congratulated by billionaire Democratic sponsor and curator Alex Soros, son of oligarch George Soros. That's the world we're living in. Promise whatever people want to hear, and victory is guaranteed. Those with critical thinking skills have it much harder. There are fewer of them, but we'll see what happens next. So let's recap what we've covered here. Germany just dismantled a massive international fraud network while its government coalition disintegrates from within. Migration experts are exposing the gap between deportation promises and reality. Brussels airport got shut down by mystery drones that vanished without anyone being caught. France saw a violent attack that injured 10 people and a separate scandal where Britain's Justice Minister falsely accused a taxi driver. The United States is breaking records with a government shutdown that's crushing federal workers and the economy. And New York just elected a self-proclaimed socialist backed by billionaire oligarchs. If these stories are connecting dots you haven't seen connected elsewhere, that's exactly why I do this. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and if you believe independent voices matter in a world of corporate media narratives, consider becoming a channel sponsor. It keeps this work going. I'll be here tomorrow with whatever breaks next. Because you can count on one thing, the news won't stop being revealing.